motion and support. Like to add, we'll add it after J, which would be the Upper Grand River Watershed Alliance report with Paul Rentschler. The last item, it would be a K. Any other changes to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next up is public comment. Public, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Step up and give your name. Tony Lewis.
Good morning. My name is Tony Lewis, and first off, my condolences to the board for the loss of your fellow commissioner, and congratulations and welcome the new commissioner. I'm here to express my interest in the SUD Policy Advisory Committee. At present, I'm on the Lifeways Board of Directors, where I serve 2 terms as president. I'm currently active with the Jackson County Community Corrections, and I'm currently active with the Michigan Association for Suicide Prevention, where I serve as the president. My current job, for the last 30 years, I've been with the state of Michigan, I work in elementary school, where I'm assigned to deal with the poverty-stricken and the families who's been impacted the most when it comes to poverty and substance abuse and general assistance. I feel as a member of the advisory team, I would make a positive impact through teamwork and bringing the knowledge that I have to bring to the team. I feel I would be effective in making a difference and helping change people's lives for the better. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Any other public comment? Public comment is closed, and we'll move on to committee items, which first up is the minutes from the October 9th meeting. Looking for approval. Motion and support. Corrections or changes? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next up, we have appointments. We have 4 different boards for appointments. First up is the Sanitary Code Board of Appeals, public members. These are 2 seats that have been open for some time. There's still no applicants unless there's any nominations from the floor. Mike, is there any other way we can reach out to try and fill these? They've been open for quite a while.
These are alternates.
I get that.
First thing, and
How often do they meet, if you know? Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. It's 1 public member, it's a vacant seat, and Matt Dame is the applicant.
I'd move Matt Dame's name to the full board for the Brownfield.
Motion and support. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Matt Dame's name will be forwarded. Land Bank Authority. We have 3 open seats. The first is a commissioner member. It's a seat held by Phil Duckham. Phil talked to me this morning. He thought he had applied by email, so I would forward his name as an applicant for the seat he currently holds. Okay.
second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Phil's name will be forwarded. 1 nonprofit corporation representative, Catherine Martin, is the member, and there's no applicant, as well as the real estate representative, Marvin Jester, unless there's any nominations from the floor. Hearing none, the Substance Use Disorder Committee, 1 public or commissioner member appointment. Carl was the former member, and Tony Lewis is the applicant. Motion and support. Any other nominations? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. That's it for appointments. Congratulations, Tony. We'll forward your name on. Next up, we have the E.G. Blackman DDA. Debbie Kelly. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, everyone. You have the Blackman DDA semi-annual report in front of you this morning. There is 1 correction I'd like to make. The True Hotel is misspelled. I believe it's all caps TRU Hotel, so I just want to make that change. I apologize for that. As you'll notice, there's a lot of great things happening in Blackman Charter Township, a lot of new developments. There's 10 new houses, 4 new hotels. Carter Lumber was sold. and it's expected to be a hardware and a welding supply store. The Home 2 Suites, the extended stay hotel, should be opening any day from what we understand from the township's engineer. They do hope to have the new hotel as well as the new restaurant, which is now known as One North Bar and Kitchen. They expect to have those enclosed before winter hits so they can start working inside and construction inside those facilities. That's about it, unless there's any questions this morning.
Deb, I've been by Carter Lumber. There's two huge propane tanks there. I mean, like commercial. Is that going to be part of the operation too, obviously? or-
I believe so,
Yeah.
I believe so, but I can check on that for you.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions of Deb? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the District Court Community Corrections Grant, and I see Tammy. Good morning.
Good morning, all. How are you? Here today to request permission. District Court has managed the Community Corrections grant since 2009. This grant is primarily beneficial to the Circuit Court as it covers, it's a Michigan Department of Corrections grant that really benefits the felons. Yeah, it's tough to see.
I moved the podium before the meeting started. I forgot the flag, sorry.
It's okay. And for several years, the district court has managed the grant. And this year, the circuit court has indicated that they are willing to take over management of the grant. Our Community Corrections Advisory Board met and passed that. We voted. It was approved by the board to allow circuit court to manage the grant, and now we're here for your authorization as well.
Tammy, it looks like Judge Jordan is looking forward to having the grant.
Judge Jordan is looking forward to having the grant. We've been working very closely with her and the court administrator, Charles, to put everything together and try to get this up and running. The grant, obviously, grant year runs September to October, October to September. And so we've been operating now since the end of September without any community corrections. So we're looking forward to getting this going as quick as possible.
Tammy, I serve on CCAB, as you know, and I appreciate the hard work of District Court all these years taking care of it. I wasn't able to make that particular special meeting, but I do support what we're doing with it and forwarding it on. But again, thanks for all the hard work through the years.
Absolutely.
So Commissioners, we're looking for a motion to send the Community Corrections Grant onto the full board for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and support, questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Next up is the County Clerk Semi-Annual Report. I can do all that for you, Amanda. Not.
Well, good morning, Commissioners, Chairman Rowe.
Morning.
Good, how are you? Well, committee members, I do apologize, I wasn't able to get the documents loaded in Board Docs, but I did forward them to you by email last week. And as you can see, I've got the stats and an update from jury and elections. The main issue item that we dealt with in elections this year was transitioning to the new equipment, and I believe it's gone very well. Those that have had elections really learned it very easily and quickly, and the voters have given positive feedback as well. Other than that, are there any questions?
Commissioners, any questions of Amanda? And Amanda, I appreciate your reaching out to the committee members anyway. Thursday, I think you sent the complete board packet out, and Delane does have it up on Board Docs now.
Great.
Commissioners, any questions of Amanda on her report or any parts of it? Several documents there. Any questions from this end? Nope. Okay. Amanda, thank you.
You're welcome.
Takes us down to JC Dot. First item up is the county catch basin cleaning. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, thank you. We have a couple of very exciting items for you here. County catch basin cleaning, we accepted bids. We're basically seeking authorization to award it to M&K Jetting and Televising for 2 years with a possible 1-year extension. Happy to take any questions on that.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, we'd be looking for a motion.
So moved.
Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Thank you. Chris, JC Dot, catch basin cleaning for the state.
Thank you. This is identical, but this would be for the state contract items, and this would be reimbursed by MDOT for maintenance services as they request on state trunk line highways.
Are these the exciting things you were talking about, Chris?
Exactly.
I see. Okay. Commissioners, any questions on the state catch basin cleaning? If not, a motion's in order. Motion and 2 supports. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Springport Airport intersection contract.
Yes, this is a standard state contract for a traffic safety improvement project at Springport Road and Airport Road intersection. You've seen these DOT contracts before. It's an $87,000 project, and $70,000 of that is a federal grant, and $17,500 is expected from JC Dot as a match. So the project can move forward after the board authorizes signatures on the contract.
Okay, Commissioners, we'd be looking to forward this on to the full board. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Cooper's Pit change order.
Thank you. Here we're seeking, you may recall a few months ago, we approved processing some aggregate at Cooper's Pit. And here we're looking for a change order to approve an additional 30,000 cubic yards of work. And this is primarily because of the heavy work that we're doing in Spring Arbor and Summit Townships. We're using this material on those projects. So it counts as part of our match for those projects. Happy to take any questions on that.
Commissioners, any questions? If not, a motion, please. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Your monthly report.
Great, thank you. Did that get put into board docs yet? Great, okay. We're trying to make these as long as possible for you. I think we made it to 14 pages this month. So I won't read it to you. There's a lot of details there, and you can feel free to email us with individual questions. But the bottom line is we have a lot going on at JC Dot. I think that's obvious. The engineering section is broken into the grant-funded project updates. We provide quick narrative on where those projects sit. I wanted to just highlight one of those, and that's Michigan Avenue Bridge. We're running into some issues whereby Amtrak officials, not the local officials, but the head honchos, so to speak, are requesting pretty heavy-duty insurance requirements of our engineering bridge consultant. These are very unusual, so we are partnering with MDOT rail officials to see if this is legitimate and if we should hold the line. So stay tuned for further details, but it is delaying the project. So I'll make sure I get you an update here in the next couple of weeks as we learn more. So basically, they're holding the engineering consultant liable forever, uncapped, which is unprecedented and hasn't been done before. So we're astonished by that, and Bruce Cruz is working closely with Amtrak and our engineering team to review that language. We've had some conference calls with Amtrak. We've had some conference calls with MDOT Rails. They're surprised by this, and so it appears to be an aggressive move to change precedent throughout the state, and they're using us as an example. So stay tuned. Moon Lake Bridge is another big update, and that's one reason we were a little late getting this into the board docs is that we had a meeting Thursday with our design consultants, and we've settled in on an arch span structure. And the real question is how high to make it. The higher we make it, of course, the road has to come up on the approaches, and so the cost would rise dramatically. So they are working on the final details of those cost estimates. And we're planning to have a neighborhood meeting whereby we'll invite the public to discuss the two options on December 5th at 6:30 PM. So hopefully many of you can make that. Tentatively, we're holding that at JCDOT at our offices, and we're hoping that'll be a big enough venue. If you suspect, or if we suspect that we'll have a big crowd, we can of course move that. We've thought also about having it at the Michigan Center High School perhaps. I'm open to suggestions on that. We haven't publicly announced anything yet.
Chris, is there going to be opposition to raising it higher to let more boats through or not?
Well, that's what we're trying to gauge, and I'm open to any input after the meeting. I'll stick around. Happy to take any guidance or suggestions. Right now, we've designed it for the standard, which is canoe and kayaking height, and that's what DEQ requires as a minimum. So we're meeting all those standards and criteria, but if we want to be able to pass pontoon boats and anything larger, we'd have to raise it up, I think, to 7 feet and some odd inches. It is, yeah. We're seeing what fits the grant budget. I think our grant was for 900 some odd thousand, so that's where our engineering consultants are working on all the details. It's more than just the bridge. When you raise the bridge, you have the approaches, but also sheet piling, guard railing, all kinds of things that have to change. So we are trying to accommodate a boat launch there for kayaks and canoes, whereby already people park and fish. So we're trying to accommodate a little space on the shoulders on the inside of the curve for folks to be able to land, take a canoe or a kayak down. So moving on then to primary road projects, they're moving along. There's a nice table there of the Spring Arbor for the local road projects, showing the status of those. Pretty much all the work is wrapping up this week on all projects because of the temperatures. And provide some nice photos of the work. If you have any questions on individual projects, please feel free to let us know, and we'll research that and get back to you. We did install rumble strips in several locations as part of our initiative in addressing our top 50 intersections, and one of those did include the Deering and McCain intersection. After research and study, we concluded that it would be a good idea to incorporate those in addition to the signing changes we have made recently there.
Is it all 4 directions that you put rumble strips on, or just
No,
McCain?
just McCain on the 2 approaches. And there's one more measure that we're looking at for that particular intersection because of, primarily because it's just a 2-way stop, and that would be a flashing beacon potentially that's draped with a cable over the intersection, flashing yellow on Deering and red on McCain. So we'll stay tuned on that. But other than that, all other options appear to be cost prohibitive, roundabouts, things like that. So those are $1 million plus options that could only be, explored in the future as funding becomes available. And then operations, I don't know if you have any questions there, but crews have been very busy. Want to highlight our local road paver patching program. We include a little snippet of a map that was in the presentation we gave at the Traffic Summit recently. And we are going to work on a map here where we overlay that. So you can see 2016's paver patch areas, 2017's. And our goal is within 3 to 5 years of doing this program, where we allocate $1 million to patch areas of road by paver instead of by shovel, that we would start to make a huge dent in structural improvements to the roads. The nice thing is, when we lay these patches, we can see how they hold up after we cap off an area. And potentially with chip sealing of the area, the road would be in very acceptable condition in the future, rather than perhaps an overlay in a crush and shape. So we're continuing to see good success with the program, and we're making a significant amount of progress. The target is about 1,000 tons per township, but some townships at this point, Bob, we're having a problem finding where we can put 1,000 tons in some cases, right? Because they don't have paved roads, mostly.
Chris?
Yeah.
Chairman Shotwell has a question.
Yes.
I've been approached by people who are watching the work you're doing and are very excited and happy with it. but their concern is what's the long-term maintenance of our roads? They're worried that they're going to spend all this money, fix everything, and that we'll be in 15 years right where we are right now.
Sure.
Do you believe that we'll be able to keep up with our maintenance?
That's the plan. And do you mean the new roads we're doing, or the repair, the remedial repairs like this paver patch program, or do you mean both? All of it? Correct. We're hoping to boost our average PACER rating. And for those who may not know that, PACER rating is a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a new road, 1 being a failed road. Our average right now, I believe, hovers between 3 and 4 for a lot of our roads, and our local road system is actually between 2 and 3. So we want to get our average boosted, as Chairman Shotwell suggests, to about 6 to 7. That would be a dream, where we can really take care of a good, solid road system. In fact, the best system in the state, I think, is about a 6 right now in all of the counties. Long story short, we have one of our engineers working on a long-term asset management plan that looks at the most appropriate timing for chip seal, crack sealing, which is overband sealing of the rubberized material, and other measures. So we discovered a white paper here that says you should chip seal within a year of a new pavement surface, not waiting 6-7 years. So we're really studying that to see. We know of a couple counties who are doing that right now, which has its own public relations issues. As you can imagine, you take a new asphalt road and drop chip seal on it right away. Everybody's going, what's going on here? But the white paper shows that the oxidation and the graying happens very quickly. And if you wait that 5-6 years before applying the surface treatment, that the damage is already done. And then you're just kind of capping it and covering it rather than treating it. So we're studying that. Stay tuned. We'll have a long-term asset management plan here in the coming months to present to you to show what we're doing. This is very important, of course, for the townships that we're working with on their projects. Spring Arbor and Summit have asked that question. We're doing this program, but what are we going to need year after year? So we need an answer for them, and we've given them assurances that that's coming. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, great.
Bill?
Morning, Chris.
Morning.
I was talking about the Moon Lake Road Bridge. Do we have a timeline and when we're expected to start the construction?
Yes, our target that we verified with our consultant is next summer. So the plan right now, tentatively, if everything goes smoothly, there's a little bit of buffer in this schedule, but we have to make a request to DOT to move the funding up from 2019 first of all. And if they accept that, we fully accept they will, we fully expect that they will accept that request. Short answer is construction will happen between June and August. We don't want to have it happen during school to interfere with buses or other traffic. So we're hoping to commence construction mid-June.
You're going to have a July 4th on the waterway barrier. We've run into that in the past, haven't we, Paul? Yeah, with fish species and that type of stuff. So usually July 1st, when you're actually in the waterway.
Okay.
So will you be closing the waterway to boat traffic completely during construction?
I'll have to ask. That didn't come up in our meeting. One of the advantages of the span arch that we're looking at, it's got decorative approaches with like stone facing, so it'll be aesthetic for the boaters. The footing work, it still will take piling work. We're hoping to get out of the water, so to speak, by the deadlines of environmental regulations and so forth. My understanding would be that by that date we would be out of the water. That's our goal. And then the precast sets on, and then it's just primarily road work after that. It will not look like a traditional bridge deck. It'll just be an asphalt road all the way through. That's another advantage to this type of installation. So I will have some images that we can forward to you. I plan to get a more detailed update to Mike as details become available in the next couple of weeks before that neighborhood meeting.
Chris, could you forward those to me too?
Absolutely.
Now, this is a narrow road through the waterway. It was projected it was going to be about the $900,000 range for the reconstruction of a bridge.
Correct.
Knowing the area, I'm assuming by the time we expand the footprint, go up to get the 7-foot clearance, we're not going to be anywhere near the $900,000
That's our suspicion. We're going to be well over it. The engineers have worked out the lower option, the minimum required, at our direction early on. We just needed to know what our baseline was. And the road is going to be widened for the limits of the project, so it will have 5-foot paved shoulders, even through the bridge section. We need that for the safety of cyclists and walkers, et cetera. So that option, we expect to be about $900,000 right now. So we're waiting for the final details, but that would include the accommodation of the kayak, canoe, and fisherman boat, the parking area there on the inside, south side, as you pass through
When
there.
I see the plan, I can't imagine that happening, but it can be very expensive, I would think. And now, this is a touchy subject in the area, but just so you know, the people on the east side of the bridge, which would go into Wolf Lake, they like it the height that it is. And the people on the west side, they all want to go down and see what's in Wolf Lake. They all want to get under the bridge, so
Right.
it's kind of you're going to have your hands full in that meeting, probably.
Right.
All right, thank you much.
I'm open to any guidance you all have. We can engineer anything. It's just a matter of cost and obviously what the public needs are.
We'd originally talked to $900,000 target area.
Right.
If we decide to go with a higher level arched bridge, where are you going to get the funding for the difference?
It come from us. We will talk to MDOT. The nice thing about the bridge program is that they do fluctuate a little bit on they will cover the actual cost of construction of what they approve. So if they approve changes based on community-sensitive design issues like this, we can ask. They may say no, but we can ask for additional funding to cover that.
I was wondering, since it took so long to get the bridge on the list to get the funding, now if we're expanding the cost, we don't want to run into a 2 or 3 more year delay to find extra money.
Agreed.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Yeah. But again, they will cover actual costs for things they approve. So, if we wanted to build a huge suspension bridge across there, they would say no to all that, and they'd just give us the $900,000. But if it's within reason and it fits community needs, a lot of times
So
they'll.
we have the ability, they're going to okay the plan after you design it,
Correct.
then the feds will okay,
Yes.
okay. Then
This is the
they'll fund
big change, by the way. In the past, prior to me being your managing director and some changes we've made in staffing, you wouldn't have seen this informational meeting. We would have just submitted some plans and later told you what it's going to be. Things are different now. We want community input. We want your input as a board also before we make the final submission to MDOT and request what we want. So literally, the day after that meeting, we're going to ask MDOT for the bridge that we want with our, what's called the type, size, and location submittal.
I'd like to apologize to all the commissioners for being so long-winded here, but this is a real touchy subject out in that area. So I just like to have the answers. Thank you.
And we did make
I
some
thought
safety
my microphone
improvements.
was off. I'm kidding. Commissioners, do you have any other questions of Chris? I've got just 2. Chris, on the Rive Junction Road pathway, do you have all the acquisition of property yet? And is it going to be a straight path, or did you convince some people to allow it to move, is the A question. And the B question is, there were concerns expressed about who's going to maintain the pathway after it's done. Is that still being ironed out?
The maintenance issue is still being worked out, yes. We have not forgotten about it. It's in our critical path for that project of all of our tasks. There's one final easement that we're working on. We're very close to getting it. I can get you details, though, by email if you'd like. Yeah. But the project has moved along nicely after we made the decisions that we discussed this summer.
Okay.
So-
Any other questions of Chris? If not, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, that brings up lastly, or second to last, the Upper Grand River watershed. And Paul? The report was handed out to the commissioners before the meeting, and I think it might be buried there somewhere on the agenda. It may have been updated. There'll be copies available. So, Paul, take it away.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the ability to come before you this morning. My apologies for submitting this report late. But my name is Paul Rentschler. I work with the Upper Grand River Watershed Alliance. Just wanted to provide a few kind of highlights from the year. Normally, the Alliance meets every other month, the first Wednesday. And in conjunction with the Watershed Alliance, then the committee of communities, Jackson County, the City of Jackson, Blackman Township, and Leone Township, that all have stormwater permits with the DEQ, meet at that same time, as well as the Upper Grand River Water Trail Planning Committee. This year was a bit different in that we kind of front-loaded our meetings because this year those communities with stormwater permits had to reapply to the state for the next 5 years. So that permit program changed, and we worked for the first 3 months on that for an April 1st deadline. So that's been submitted to the DEQ. They're now reviewing it, and the requirements for stormwater compliance will guide those communities for the next 5 years. Other highlights, the education program that we run with volunteers out in the creeks monitoring water quality over time hit its 10-year anniversary this year, so we have had volunteers out and collecting bugs, basically, to monitor water quality for the last 10 years, and that's been quite the successful program in partnership with the Conservation District. In terms of grants this year, we worked with the worked with the Legacy Land Conservancy to submit a grant application to the DEQ for outreach efforts that the Conservancy will undertake. That was awarded, and the program began January 1st, $129,000 for identifying key properties within portions of the Portage River, the Grass Lake Drain, and Sandstone Creek subwatersheds, looking at high-quality lands that are yet in natural state that could be protected to protect water quality. And then the Conservancy will reach out to those landowners and talk to them about conservation easements and how they might be able to protect their lands over time. And finally, the Grand River Water Trail, we finalized a plan this year for developing a trail along the Upper Grand River, which would then connect with similar paddle trails in the Middle Grand and the Lower Grand, ultimately providing a water trail on the state's longest river. From headwaters here to Lake Michigan, hopefully. We've been working in conjunction with the DNR on that, and things are moving along a bit slowly, but moving along nonetheless. The plan was finalized. We submitted grant applications to some local foundations with plans to develop 6 key kayak and canoe access sites in the urban portion of the watershed here, with a total dollar value of about $150,000. We've raised about $33,000 of that from local communities and from 2 foundations as well. And plans are to work with Jackson County Parks to submit a Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund application next spring for funding for the remainder. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Okay, Commissioners, any questions of Paul? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioners, not on the agenda, but we need to go back to appointments for just a minute. Since the meeting started, Mike, the chair, and Delane have been talking about the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, the one public member. We submitted Matt's name for forwarding to the board, and Mike is of the belief that we may have filled that at last month's meeting with a nomination from the floor. Right, at the full board meeting, right, from the floor with a, correct? So what I think we should do is authorize Mike to research it offline, and if that is the case, to pull Matt's name being forwarded. So if I could have a motion to that effect.
Mr. Chairman, just so we're clear, if that has taken place, it sounds like individuals remember, but if it has not taken place, then Matt's name would then be
That's correct.
forwarded up. Okay.
That's correct.
I make that motion then.
Motion and support. Mike, is that good enough for you? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Need to pay the claims. Motion and support. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same. Motion carried. Other minutes? Believe none. December reporting schedule is there and takes us to public comments. Public, you can comment or not. No public comment. Committee member comments. John, welcome aboard. And we are adjourned.